I feel that we can go ahead and get started. I don't see anybody else joining in, but I'll be keeping an eye out for to admit the new participants. Um, but just because we have a rich conversation ahead of us, want to make sure that we have the full hour. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. My name is Diego Espinoza. We'll do formal introductions right now, but I just really want to thank you for coming to our session, the Tri-County Education Pathways Consortium, building a regional teacher preparation coalition for future educators. Um, these are some of our accounts, some of our Instagram accounts. We try to it's something that I think like one of the best practices is keeping in touch with our students through social media channels where they're constantly checking. And feel free, if you take any snapshots. I know it's hard to do selfies now in this virtual format, but if you happen to take a selfie with a presentation background, feel free to use some of those hashtags. Um, we're gonna go over. Um, Also wanted to make sure to point out that so the session is being recorded so that we can share it out with our colleagues who couldn't be here with us. Uh, if you um, if you would not like you to come up in the recording, I would just encourage you to block out your video camera if that makes you uncomfortable. So just wanted to put that out as well. So our agenda for today. We will be doing some introductions so you can get to meet everyone that's part of the consortium representing the colleges and universities in the consortium. We're going to talk about the background on our Tri-County consortium. We have amazing panelists that are going to be presenting on some of the updates and their teacher pathway programs at the different institutions, each one of them at a different level. We're gonna have the opportunity to have some discussion and hear from you about some of the best practices, some of the things that you want to get out of this session. We have some recommendations for professional practice that we came up with. And then we're gonna have a chance, hopefully, to have some closing comments. And if we're not able to address some of your questions, that we can send a document with the answer to your questions. So we'll go ahead and get started with our introductions. Mr. Clemente, would you like to kick us off?
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jesus Clemente. I'm the coordinator for Teacher Pathway Program at Hartnell College.
Hello, my name is Eva Costa, and I'm one of the counselors. I've been a designated counselor for teacher prep since 2000.
My name is Kim Sakamoto Steidel, and I am the soon-to-be retired outreach coordinator for the Cabrillo CSUMB Teacher Pathway Program.
I must be next. I can't tell. My name is Jay Luke, and I am the coordinator for Teacher Pathway, the Teacher Pathway Program at Monterey Peninsula College.
I'm Diego Espinoza. I'm the Title V Hispanic Serving Institution Director at Monterey Peninsula College.
I'm Pat Henriksen from Gavilan College, Future Teachers Prep Program.
Good afternoon. My name is Deedee Perez-Granados, and I am the TPP Program Director at Cal State Monterey Bay.
Hi, I'm Moises Almendares. I'm Director of Hispanic Serving Institution Initiatives at Hartnell College.
And we also have Margaret Dominguez, who will be joining us in just a few moments. Thank you so much. So to start off, I've been using, I'm not a teacher myself, but I was a tutor and I worked for this amazing program. It's called MiniCorps, right? And I'm sure all of our teachers, are familiar with like Kahoot and other applications, right, that we use in the classroom right now to interact with the students. I particularly like this one. It's called Pear Deck. I don't know if you guys had a chance to use it, but if you wouldn't mind, for the sake of this activity, if you wouldn't mind joining my Pear Deck by going to joinpd.com and typing in the 6 letters. It's 3 letters, a space, and then 3 letters for this little activity to kick us off. And then please feel free to unmute yourself if you have any questions. I see that we have a few students connecting. I'll give it a few more seconds. Feel free to send me a chat message if you have any issues joining the Pear Deck. I see 10 students right now. You can join from your phone. You can join from a different browser. You can join from an iPad, Amazon tablet. Okay. So just for the sake of our hour, I'll go ahead and press continue. So, you know, this is kind of like, you know, I understand, you know, all of us, you know, we're going through a pandemic, really, you know, we're teaching through a pandemic, we're servicing students through a pandemic. So it is important to center ourselves and to realize, you know, where we're at. So this is a little stress check that we sometimes do, you know, at the beginning of the day. So you probably see a little purple little line on your Pear Deck. So feel free to move it around. So, okay, so it's nice to see, you know, a lot of us are in the green. Okay, a lot of us are in the green, in the yellow. You know, we definitely, okay. So we're on the left-hand side of the scale. So that's awesome. I'm so glad, and I'm glad that we got an early session, probably because it's right after lunch. But this is just something, you know, again, to do, you know, just you know, one of the things I try to do is like to model some of the programs that we do with some of the software that we use, or like the tools. And this is amazing when trying to connect with the students. You know, if you're about to go into like a lesson or a really deep kind of like conversation, you know, it's good to see where everyone's at. You know, at the beginning, I'm very happy to hear that, you know, your week is going good, and for the most part, you know, we're in between a good space, a 0 and a 5. We're gonna keep using Pear Deck for some of the slides later on in the presentation. And again, so it's joinpd.com, DWLJSI. And I would like to bring up Doctora Perez-Granados.
Thanks, Diego. Good afternoon again. We're here to share with you today a little bit about our journey of how we came together and formed this consortium. It all started in August of 2019 when we were at a conference much like this one, where we had representatives from the different community colleges, and CSUMB was there. And we went to a session where we were talking about how we can bring together education systems to strengthen our teacher workforce in California. And we just happened to be at a table where the community colleges in our area, Cabrillo, Gavilan, I don't think was there, but they were there in spirit. MPC and Hartnell College were there. And also Cuesta College was there with us. And we were talking about how we can build these education systems and what were some of the short-term goals that we might have, and what were some of the long-term goals that we might have in bringing together our education systems across our institutions. And you could see on the long-term goals, we thought it would be wonderful if we could build a community of practice in our Tri-County area that brought together our CSU, CSUMB, and our community college partners into a consortium so that we could share best practices. Some ideas we had on the short-term goals was to try to create more student-centered course schedules and services and support systems to maximize and facilitate our students' success at all of our campuses. So this session that we had at this conference led to the formation, in the next slide, of the Tri-County Education Pathways Consortium. It's made up of our community colleges in our area and CSUMB, the College of Education, and the Transfer Student Success Center at CSUMB. And representatives from these different institutions came together, and we meet about twice a semester. Our goals were to address some challenges that we all face on all of our campuses. We wanted to create address the issues that students face in terms of information systems that don't communicate with each other. So when they go from one institution to the other, they're basically introduced to a whole new system, a whole new registration process. And it's sometimes frustrating and challenging for students to navigate those pathways from one institution to the other. We also wanted to address some of the policies that we know affect our students, sometimes for good and sometimes create additional challenges that they have to, and hurdles that they have to overcome. We also wanted to try and create a learning community for our students such that they could find opportunities to connect with their campuses and learn from their campuses across the institutions. And one of our big challenges is assist.org. So we all have our different curricula, and we wanted to figure out a way to communicate the curricula that we offer on our different campuses and how they are connected with each other so that students know what their educational pathway looks like and what courses they can be taking at both the community college and the CSUs towards their degrees. The benefits of our consortium we found is that we have been able to write grant proposals together and secure funding that we all share together. We also learn very much from each other. We share our strengths, we share our challenges, we share things that we've tried that have worked, that maybe didn't work. So we're very much a learning community of professionals, all working towards the enhancing the student learning experience at our institutions. We've created a learning community for both faculty and staff. So faculty and staff are working together to focus on not just the curriculum, but also the student services that we offer in our campuses. We want to identify and maybe change some of the policies that are out there on each of our campuses to create a better learning experience for our students. And then finally, we wanted to communicate to our students that all of our community colleges offer some amazing curriculum. And the beauty of being in the Tri-County area is that our students can take courses from any of our different community colleges and benefit from offerings that one campus may have that's not currently being offered on their home campus. So our goals for this consortium are to continue to share our best practices and really to build a sustained pathway programs across our campuses and working together in that endeavor. We want to invite other campuses and other institutions to the consortium to be involved with us in our endeavors. So we're working to reach out to our UC partners to bring them to the table. We also very much want our local school districts to be involved in our endeavor because our students hopefully will be in those school districts down the road as future teachers. We want to create a Tri-County teacher job fair so that our students can learn about our job opportunities across the Tri-County area. And finally, we really want to address issues of equity in education systems and create some symposia that where we can talk and discuss and strategize about ways that we can create equitable learning opportunities for our students. So that's our consortium. That's what we're hoping to share with you today, a little bit about each of our institutions and what we've managed to do since August of 2019 to create these pathways and collaborations. And I'm going to turn it over to Hartnell College.
Good afternoon, everybody. Again, my name is Jesus Clemente, coordinator for the Teacher Pathway Program at Hartnell College. Hartnell College really serves a student body that's largely comprised of historically underserved, underrepresented, and disadvantaged students. 90% of our students are low income, 65% are first generation. And we do have an increasing rate in males interested in teaching profession. It's currently at about 21%. Our grant is currently entering the 5th year of the partnership. It is a collaborative with CSUMB in which our students are able to earn an AAT and then transfer to CSUMB for an additional 2 years. So the current students are under a current blended model And we've got several cohorts at Hartnell. We're currently serving cohort number 4 and cohort number 5. Cohort number 4 is based out of the Salinas area, and cohort number 5 is based out of the South County region, serving the King City area, maybe up to Chular Gonzalez, and back down to San Ardo. So it covers a wide span of the southern part of Monterey County. Really, the consortium overall has, for myself as a rather new person to the team, I've seen that it's allowed us to really strengthen our program networks. And really to leverage our resources. There's times where we're combining resources to put on an event, and it's awesome because of bandwidth. There's times where we're unable to really put on such an event on our own. So having the ability to work with others is extremely helpful, and it goes a long way. More importantly, it's helped us increase equity and access to credential pathways for future students. Again, if you look, we're serving 90% of our students as low-income students. So we're really looking to break that cycle and really instill a college-going culture. Best practices for us, we found, are the wraparound services, which are really comprehensive and really are looking at a student from a different facet at every single time that you interact with them, or that you have this ability to have a touch point, an opportunity to interact with the student and gain some information. How are you doing or whatnot? So we do some milestone monitoring. We want to make sure that students have their ed plans, that their ed plans up to date, check their academic standing and whatnot. But more importantly, having those consistent touch points where we know we're going to get them, we're going to communicate with them when it's time to complete their FAFSA, and we make sure that we remind them, and we make them aware of deadlines as well. And lastly, the professional development opportunity, specifically the social justice training that is in partnership also with a few of Harvard's doctoral candidates of education. So it's an excellent opportunity to collaborate with CSUMB and to really put on programming that's going to be unique and tailored to the future educators. Thank you. Some of the challenges, again, is we're serving a high area of poverty. And with that, the cost of going to college is definitely something to be considered versus finances and bringing finances to the home. Another challenge is entering our 5th year of our grant. It makes us uneasy. And it's stressful, but it's something that we're able to navigate, but just like with the partnerships that we have. Our recruitment region rotates every 2 years, and that's a little bit challenging because it would be nice if we can establish an anchor point or an anchor site where you serve one region, and the recruitment is based out of that region, and you don't necessarily have to change your recruitment strategies and go back and forth and not serve one community for 2 years. So that's very challenging. We do have a low social media presence, so if you can, I think that's our handle, if you can visit us. I think we have like 8 followers, so we're not very liked yet. So please make sure you follow us. And at the bottom, we do have 9 now. Thank you. Down at the bottom, we do have our website with various information that's been updated, and it looks awesome. So take a look at it. As for us, next steps is really looking to establish that anchor site, as I was referring to earlier. And more importantly, seeking to be institutionalized, which is an arduous process. And It's something that we have to just kind of go through. We want to continue to conduct our outreach and recruitment, no matter where area we're going to be serving in the future. More importantly, it's an opportunity to really highlight and showcase the successes of our program. So we just created a newsletter. It should be going out by the end of, well, actually starting early next week. We definitely want to use that as a resource to promote our program. And one very last important point is that we're going to be welcoming our newly credentialed teachers in less than about a year. That was our cohort 1. So thank you to all the people who have helped with establishing the teacher pathway program. So thank you very much for allowing me to be part of this, this moment in this history. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Eva Costa, and I work at Cabrillo. And I started my journey as a kindergarten teacher. And it was a rough start as a child because I entered school not speaking one word of English, and where I attended, no one spoke Spanish. And so since the beginning, my mother said that I always told her that I wanted to be a teacher. And thank God, in another time, I could tell you the path. So when I became a counselor at Cabrillo, I wanted to really make a strong impact in the area of teaching. And luckily, in 2000, Cabrillo was a part of South Bay Monterey Regional Consortium. So that 20 years ago. And it was focused on reading. It was a grant that wanted to promote teachers and wanted to help in the elementary schools in their reading programs. So it's very specific. It was K-3, which we found very early that we had many students that were interested in higher level grades. But with that grant, we started to develop our intro to education classes and our field work experience. And we had to start from bottom ground going to the school districts because I thought it was going to be very easy to sell to the school districts that we had tutors, we had a lot of energy from our college students. And so I thought they were going to just say, oh yes, come on in. And to my surprise, they were hesitant because of experiences that they had before with volunteers, that they would go one day, the kids would get really enthused seeing these volunteers and then they wouldn't show up again. So we had to really lay down what our purpose was, how we were going to be following these students. We weren't just going to be putting them in the classroom and then saying goodbye. So that started the process of getting our students into our county schools. It also helped build our partnerships with the other school districts, with the other CSU and with the other CSUs like Monterey Bay, San Jose. As a counselor, one of my really emphasis in all of these programs is a strong articulation with our curriculum so that our students know that if they take this class, it's going to transfer and it's going to help with the CSAT waiver. So I'm really passionate about working together with our colleges so that our courses are articulated, not just to transfer, not just for the major, but also for the CSAT waiver. The other thing that we had that unfortunately we don't have anymore is money that we could pay our students for their classroom experience so that we're actually getting paid. And we had some money that we paid our mentor teachers that placed the students in the classroom so they would talk to our students and find a really good placement for them that fit both the classroom teacher and the student. Another thing that we did, and we continue even without funding, is we had a designated counselor for teacher prep. So that has really helped with keeping up with all the changes because there's been so many changes in the many years that I've been at Cabrillo. So I think that to close is the consortium has helped us articulate, has helped us learn from each other, has helped us to see what the future could look like. One of the hardest things is making a whole cohort. We have many students that want to be teachers, but they've been taking all these classes at different times. And so that's been our biggest challenge, to have one specific cohort. They can, like a learning community, they can go from one semester, the same classes, to another semester. So what we've done is that we've just, as long as that they've been taking the courses that they need, they must meet with a counselor, they must meet with Monterey Bay's advisor, which is Sasha, and she's a blessing. Our students are, before they transfer, they already have their student plan at Cabrillo that goes to CSUMB's student plan. So they feel comfortable. They know the biggest fear that I would hear before, what classes am I going to take? They would ask us, can you go with us? Can you counselor follow us to the CSU? They say, no, our place is here. Well, what classes do we take? Now I don't have that fear. I know that the students are going to get all this attention, and for them to be able to have the right classes so that they can finish their degree and their credential. And in these years that we've had the programs, there's so many of the teachers we've had now at the school districts. It's so nice to go to the grocery store and see a student that we had an intro to education class and tell us, I'm teaching this grade, I'm teaching that grade. So Kim's going to talk about more how we transitioned from our other program to the new program now.
Hi, thanks everyone for being here. Thank you, Eva. One of the strengths of the Cabrillo CSUMB Teacher Pathway Program is our location in downtown Watsonville and at the Cabrillo Watsonville Center. We offer small classes and centralized students. It's really convenient for students who are working or have families or other responsibilities within the community. Faculty and staff understand and are responsive to the cultural, linguistic, and life experience of students. We know that that makes a difference. Students often say that the Watsonville Center feels like home. It's a safe place. Over the past year and a half, we've established a fully articulated pathway from entry to transfer. All courses required for the elementary AAT are offered at the Watsonville campus. This plan, again, is especially helpful for students who are busy, working, and even in this time right now, when everything is online, it still makes things more convenient. Our program strengths include progress monitored ed plans. Students are not just out there floating about. We have regular communications, conferences, and also offer opportunities for them to continue exploring and refining their pathway. We offer mentoring, service learning, and partnerships are a special feature of our last year. Last December, Cabrillo TPP partnered with Cabrillo Minicore to present Abriendo Caminos, a joint workshop between Cabrillo, CSUMB, and Hartnell Minicore. It's an awesome program, so if you don't know about it, please check that out. On the role of, and we really focused on the role of teachers in the lives of migrant students and families. For our challenges and next steps, as Eva and Jesus have mentioned, over time, shrinking budgets and competing interests have produced some program gaps. Institutionalizing TPP through a regional consortium, we know will help us to focus our efforts and sustain the future of our programs. That with our new program staff that are coming on, we have a new program director who's built on the work of Rachel Mayo. We have Eddie Cervantes, who is our dean and program director. Yolanda Calero, Denise Vela, and Motoko Nakazawa, our other staff members. We're so excited to welcome them to our team. The consortium benefits, there are so many. Consortium promotes stability. We openly share as expertise and resources, as Jesus mentioned. We ask questions and rely on one another to brainstorm next steps. As a result, we close gaps, we avoid pitfalls, and both students and staff move forward with greater confidence. I want to thank the consortium for being that model of equity. Every person has the qualities and characteristics of inclusion, reciprocity, advocacy, and selflessness, or as Diego says, TPP Familia. Thank you. Okay, next.
Hi, my name is Jay Luke, and I am the coordinator at Monterey Peninsula College. And I'm echoing many of the things that my colleagues have said, the benefits and the downfalls. The slight difference with our program is we're a baby, right? We just finished our first year, and half of it was in the pandemic. And I joked that I would recommend not doing it during a pandemic. And I would also recommend, the colleagues who've gone before me, they've worked out many of the issues. And so, I kind of get to dance up in here and be like, okay, yeah, I won't do that. I can learn from others. So my recommendation is be the second or the third one to the table, but not during a pandemic. Their expertise has been invaluable and a wonderful guiding light. And even though, the community colleges are all slightly similar, there are some nuances. Building community was one of the major goals at MPC. And of course, we've had to get very creative these last 7 months. And we're working on a systematic process to better track students at the beginning and throughout their scholastic journey. I don't know if this is a pandemic thing. Here in Eva makes it sound like maybe it's not a pandemic thing. It just is a thing, but something we'll be finding out. And we're looking forward to offering our STEM classes to our part-time cohort at other campuses. And of course, building up our entire program. It's just really interesting during this time. Our Intro to Teaching and Learning class, we have offered that as a late start. So it gets started in October, and it has filled and had a waiting list all last year, but that was not the case this semester. And so that's new, different, disappointing all at the same time. But we're optimistic and we're going forward.
So maybe I'll should I jump in right here again? Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so I think what Jay was mentioning, right? Definitely one of the things is that, each one of our teacher pathway programs, has a little bit of a different structure. In the case of Monterey Peninsula College, Jay is our lead faculty. It's a lead faculty for the college. She's the coordinator. She's the outreach. She's the marketing director, for TPP. She's all in one person.
I'm everyone.
and fortunately, there was a component. So I don't know how many of your campuses and colleges have a Title V Hispanic serving institution, Title III, and a PC. But one of the things that we incorporated into our grant was to support Jay with her coordination time by allocating some of the funding for that, as well as our HSI administrative assistant that can help with some of the tasks too, that can take away from Jay's plate, like for example, checking out computers, checking out textbook, book vouchers, and stuff. So those are some of the challenges. Limited time, part-time cohort. So like Jay was mentioning, we have a Marina campus and we have a Monterey campus. Marina is a campus, so it's a little bit more diverse, the area of Marina. A lot of our Salinas students take courses in the Marina campus. And unfortunately, we don't have a STEM lab at the Marina campus. So at some point, students still have to come to the Monterey campus, which is about 20 minutes, maybe half an hour at the most with traffic, but still it's a different commute. And if they're coming on via bus, they have to get another jump, they have to get another bus. So we're hoping that in the future, we can develop a STEM lab where we can offer the biology, the chemistry classes, the geography classes, for students to be able to take them in there. And then definitely some of the challenges, like we mentioned before, the continuous funding for follow-up support and student services, that we're always looking to. I think some of the next steps, like our partner colleges, is to seek to be institutionalized, right? To prove that it is a need in our community, and that we're making an impact. Outreach and recruitment. So we're working with our marketing director in that sense. Like we mentioned before, the social media presence has been important through the teacher pathway channels, but as well as the HSI channel. One thing that is unique about our grant, and I think it's a great collaboration, is that our Title V grant is actually in collaboration with CSUMB. And so we have this component that we're gonna start implementing on the third year of our grant, so this year coming up, which is the Transfer Academy, which is really kind of like a second year component where students, after they finish a first year experience, they go into our transfer launch. It's gonna be led by our faculty counselor coordinator, Kelly Fletes, and she's gonna be leading this effort along with a position that we have at CSUMB. So it's a position funded by MPC, but he's actually doing their time at CSUMB. Because one of the things that students were saying is that, the recruiter comes to campus, but then I don't know anybody at CSUMB when I actually transfer. So we're hoping that Victor would be able to be that liaison between both campuses. There's next steps. We want to develop high school future teachers clubs, in our area, and MPC future teachers club as well. And we put, I think, grant pilots because, we have a lot of programs that have kind of like a pilot that touch a little bit of on teacher preparation or on the transfer pathway. So collaborating with those programs as well.
Hi, welcome to my section of Gavilan College. We've been a part of the partnership for, since it began, and it's been a joy for us in the fact that one of our issues had been that we didn't have a clean pathway for a student who said, oh, I want to go into teaching. I want to check it out. I want to work with children, but I don't know where. I don't know how to do this. I don't know where to start. So one of the things that happened is we got a TPP, Teacher Preparation Pipeline Grant, and that helped us organize our pathway overall. And so I'm excited that the pathway has a clear CSUMB. Most of our students will go to CSUMB or San Jose State or area four-year colleges, but they didn't know how that pathway looked. And so now we have a designated area that students can connect with, albeit that during COVID it's online through our Future Educators Club, which is just getting started for the year. And we have one of our members here today, so that's exciting to have you. Thank you for joining us. But we also have a dedicated spot on campus. So it has become known as the Education Hub. So if a student wants to go into education, they can come over to the Child Development Program, and we have a dedicated room where they can meet spontaneously, or they can host organization meetings. They can apply for scholarships, grants, colleges, etc. Our purpose was wanting to hook our students into a clean pathway, get them where they wanted to go, but make it so that it was a fun pathway. And so we do a lot of different things: job fairs, transfer support. We increased, I think, our access. We had, I would say, close to 300 students, 400 students that were lost at Gavilan. They took multiple subjects, but they didn't know where that got them. And so now we are starting to narrow that looseness by having our activities on campus and being present and visual on campus, or now, as you see, online. But so the students that are in multiple subjects can begin to start thinking, well, gosh, maybe I would like to go to CSUMB, and here's what my options are when I do that, and here's what I need to take at Gavilan in order to go there. So that's been really, I think, an important part of, we increased access to our materials, increased access to our support, increased access to our services that we have there. But the benefit has been that we've connected our community. We now have a larger number of students that are expressing the need or desire to go into education. Now, I'm like Jay in saying that that was pre-COVID. So now with COVID, we're just getting started for this semester, and we'll see where our club goes, where our activities go. We took field trips to CSUMB, San Jose State, San Francisco State, all over, wherever our students wanted to go. We found a pot of money that got us on a bus, and we went up and got to meet people, because I totally agree with the rest of my colleagues that when students know who they're going to connect with at the next level university, they're more likely to follow through and they feel accepted. So all of my students, or all of our students at Gavilan, see Deedee. We have Dr. Perez come to our site. We have her visit our clubs. We have her come to our classrooms, and she shares what the next steps are for them. And I think that really comforts the students as they move forward into something that could be quite challenging if you've never been away from your home. We start with high school students. We are pretty active with our high step program. So we have child development, psychology courses that are in our high schools, and our future teachers or our future educators club invites them to become members because they're taking a college class in the high step program, and we get to work with their future educators club. So there is a future educators club in Hollister, and so we hope to improve and work more with that group to really support our students to move on through. So one of the things that we have as a goal is to make sure that we continue this partnership and really help our students make those connections. So we are partnering with different funding pathways. We're partnering with different high schools. So we are now in 5 different high schools that we work, and we support them in coming to Gavilan. And we're trying to support participation even though we're online. And that has been a challenge. It's a new day, and we're learning all these new pathways. And I know we're getting close to the end of our presentation, and I want you all to hear what California State University Monterey Bay has. I worked there, I taught there as well, and I so loved the experience that I had at CSUMB, and I encourage my students to take that as part of their pathways. So with that, I'm going to let Deedee go on to her section because she's got some great things to share with us. Thank you for letting me share my Gavilan experience.
Thank you, Pat. I want to welcome Margaret Dominguez. She is our partner in this presentation. So Margaret, if you want to just quickly say hello.
Yes. Hello, everybody. My name is Margaret Dominguez. I am the HSI project manager for the Maestros grant, and as well work with the TPP grant. And I just kind of want to say a few things. I really like the fact that we are that TPP familia that has been mentioned several times. I started in this about less than 2 years ago, so I kind of came into the TPP familia, but the best thing is having those connections at the community colleges is amazing. When I have questions, there's like several people I can reach out to, and they bounce back their answers quickly. And then also not just among staff as a TPP familia, but students become part of that TPP familia. So whenever any student is going through some challenges, some difficulties, we all know, and we all get together and we all figure out how to support that student so they kind of stay on that path to become that teacher that they want to be. So the family is not just among staff, building relationships, but among students, and that's the best thing to see. Thank you, Deedee.
Thanks, Margaret. So CSUMB has been in the Bay Area, the Monterey Bay Area, for a very, very long time. But unfortunately, we're in the midst of these community colleges that have rich, vibrant programs that are serving their students. But we were finding that not enough of those students were coming to CSUMB and pursuing their credentials and joining the teacher workforce. And the goal of our education program at CSUMB is really to grow our own. We know we have a lot of potential teachers out there in our communities that can get an education right here in our own backyards and get a credential and then go teach in the same communities where they grew up in. And that's kind of our goal, is to have our students go right back into the communities and serve those communities as educators. And so in order to do that, we really needed to build strong pathways from the community colleges to CSUMB, to the BA program, and then to the credential program. We really focused on trying to build institutional capacity. And this started in 2016 with Hartnell College. We were fortunate to get some funding from the Giannini Fund that really kind of was a seed money to start this whole endeavor. And we created a 2+2 program in South Monterey County in King City, where they offered their curriculum the first 2 years, and then CSUMB offered the second 2 years of curriculum in King City. So we took our curriculum and our program to King City, to South County, which is quite a distance from our main campus. Over time, we have been able to institutionalize some key positions at CSUMB, and one of them is the TPP Special Programs Advisor Coordinator, and that's Sasha that Eva was referring to. That staff person is key to reaching into and with the community colleges to contact the students. So we're in the community colleges, we're connecting with the community college students while they're still going through the curriculum at the community college level. And we view those students as CSUMB students while they're at the community college. And then when they come to us, we view them as the community college student too. So they have connections on both campuses, and we really encourage them to maintain those relationships and connections to strengthen that foundation of support throughout their college career and their credential year. So we've been fortunate to have a designated special programs advisor coordinator. As Margaret was mentioning, through that relationship, we've been able to secure an HSI Title V grant that is, again, trying to build capacity within each institution with Hartnell College and CSUMB. And so we have some staff, Margaret is one of them, that is, again, targeting and supporting our students. So we have a field placement coordinator. We have another academic counselor that works with our integrated program students. And the goal is to institutionalize these key student support positions on our campus, and to institutionalize, in essence, those relationships that we're building with our community college partners. So we've been very fortunate in those endeavors. I think what is unique and special about our consortium is that we have integrated program leadership. So all the folks that are presenting today are leaders on their own campuses, and we come together in the consortium to share our best practices and to support each other in our joint endeavors. And on our campus, we've been able to actually have integrated leadership on our campus, across units and departments on our campus and colleges on our campus. And that's part of the institutionalization process. TPP is well known on our campus now. It wasn't 4 years ago, but it is now. And we're getting a lot of support from different offices, the admissions office, the registrar's office, OC3, the advising center. So a lot of units on our campus are behind us and supporting, more importantly, our students as they transfer from the community colleges to our campus. And then finally, we really are building curricular programs across the institutions. So we are at the Watsonville Center with Cabrillo. We are in King City. We are at the Marina Center with MPC. We go over to Gavilan College. So we're taking CSUMB to the community colleges, and we're inviting, and we have those students visit our campus. So there's no separation. This is all kind of one pathway that they're traveling back and forth across the institutions. And I think that's a strength that we're offering. So if we could go on to the next slide. We've been able to find success, and the successes, I think, are really in strong part due to the Tri-County Education Pathways Consortium. We've been able to engage in joint outreach and recruitment. So when Gavilan has a recruitment fair, I'm there, or someone from CSUMB is there. When Cabrillo has it, we're over at Cabrillo. When MPC has it, we're over at MPC. We're over at Hartnell all the time as well. So their campuses are our campuses and vice versa. And that joint outreach and recruitment is part of that relationship building that Pat was referring to. So the community college students have point people on our campus that they are connecting with while they're still at the community college. We're doing joint program planning and implementation. We're looking across our curriculum to find ways to offer students the coursework that they need when they need it, and make sure that they've got a smooth pathway from the community college to CSUMB. We're collaborating on student support. So anything that we offer at CSUMB is available to community college students while they're still at the community college, and vice versa. So we're able to share our resources and our student support systems. We collaborate together in planning all of these events and student support efforts that we're doing. And we've been successful in securing external funding to support this work that we're doing together. And again, this is in large part to the Tri-County Education Pathways Consortium. Like all of our campuses, we're facing many, many challenges, but the beauty of the consortium is that we're able to support each other to work through those challenges. And I'll just give you one example. The CBEST is the new gatekeeper for getting a credential. It's something that students have to take in order to get into a credential program. CBEST prep workshops are offered at Cabrillo, they're offered at MPC, they're offered at Hartnell, and they're offered at CSUMB. And basically, if we're offering it on our campus, we're letting our community college students know they can join in on those workshops, and vice versa. If it's at the community colleges, our CSUMB students can benefit from those student support offerings at the community college campuses. And that is in large part due to the consortium that we're sharing this information and sharing the resources and sharing the student support opportunities that we all offer on our individual campuses. So I'm very proud of our consortium and the work that we've accomplished in a very short amount of time. The last slide you'll see is in the center. That's a picture of the group that was at that conference in August 2019. And around that is a lot of the members of the familia that have joined on board and are part of the consortium. And we're looking to grow this. We want our school district representatives to be part of this. We want to get the UCs on board as well, because I think we're on to something. We have goals, and I think we're getting closer to achieving those goals. Thank you.
So I realize, you know, we have about five minutes, you know, and I mean, we can keep going, right? Like we always say, like, oh, otra, you know, whenever we go to a concert. Have you guys heard that? But we really wanted to open up the discussion to hear from you guys, you know, about the barriers to collision building in your area. It can be within your institution. It can be, you know, in your geographic area. It can be in your school district. Feel free to type into the chat. Feel free to, you know, type into the Pear Deck. You know, it's the same slide that we're looking at. But I mean, just given the amount of time, you know, feel free to raise your hand or just unmute yourself. Very organic. Maybe from our panelists, maybe earlier on, were there any barriers that prohibited building collision in terms of teacher pathways?
I'll just chime in. I think one of the challenges was finding a place to meet where we could all get to, right? So I know it was hard for Pat. She was the farthest away to get all the way to Marina from Gavilan College. This is maybe one of the silver linings of COVID-19 is that we're all very adept at Zooming now. So that distance and transportation has become less of an issue. but early on that was a challenge.
I would also say that, when you're looking at staffing and the number of staff members that you have, sometimes you have to consider the bandwidth, how much you can really accomplish with what you really have. And I probably would imagine that when my director, our current director, Gianna Han, was in that picture, that she probably, carried the torch and pulled a lot of things and really stretched her bandwidth, right? So now we got a few more people in our project. And I think with that, it can really help us even accomplish more as a team. So I think in the beginning, probably limited staffing, creating a limited bandwidth.
Diego, this is Moises. I don't know if this is necessarily a challenge, but more of a request. We're hoping to build as the HSI director at Hartnell. I'm hoping to build the next STEM HSI proposal for a STEM teacher pathway. But in doing so, I don't know exactly where to find data and things, regional, state, local, on some of those needs so that we can use for a proposal that would justify the need for that. But so it's more of a request to the group if I can get some direction as to where I may be able to find good data that we can quote in a proposal to say this is why we need STEM teachers. And at the same time, going back to Jesus's comment earlier, a way to sustain what we have currently at Hartnell and build on that and add the STEM teacher component to our current program.
Thank you, Moises.
Yeah, absolutely, Moises. I think there's a huge shortage of STEM teachers all over California, but particularly in our Tri-County area. And so there's a lot of data that we can work with you to collect that really demonstrates the tremendous need. And really, more importantly, having STEM teachers that represent the communities where our students are coming from. That would be kind of my hope and dream.
And certainly an opportunity to collaborate with everyone here, all the area schools.
And very similar to TPP, right? I think connecting the advisors at CSUMB with those STEM advisors at community college, because I think a lot of times students in community college in those specific disciplines, whether math or science or history, need a little bit more of that guidance of what it is that they need to be a STEM teacher. So it's that connection is key.
So that's an excellent point for Margaret. It's the data is certainly very important, but even some of those challenges that we can build into a proposal to say, this is what we're really looking for. So that'd be very helpful to obtain some information on that.
I just, if I could interject, Kathleen White from the TPP for the SF Bay region, I directed you to the Teach for the Bay website where this conference brochure was. Under resources, we have two recent publications. One is on the shortage of STEM and CTE teachers in the San Francisco Bay region. And that's 2020, published August 2020. And the other is SF Bay region teacher shortages, published in 2019. They both have labor market data. And the Centers of Excellence at the Bay region can also assist you in pulling out data just for a micro region within the SF Bay region. So we have top codes for a range of teachers and have identified subsets of teachers. And just take a look at those two publications. If you need additional data, the Centers of Excellence contact person is on there and you can ask those questions. So we know when we started this regional joint venture that getting the data on the teacher shortage was critical and it really wasn't broadly available.
Right.
So we're trying to just take a look at those two things. Also, we will be updating because we know that COVID is going to negatively impact teacher availability. We've heard from a number of districts that we should be anticipating retirements in our region from teachers that are in that retirement age that are just not aligning with distance ed, so personally or professionally. So we think it's going to get worse. So take a look, and I've put the website in the chat. You can feel free to email me.
Definitely, I've already bookmarked it. This is going to be an excellent resource.
Great, thank you.
Thank you,
So,
Kathleen.
this is Eva from Cabrillo College.
Yes.
And Monterey Bay is actually, I was part of their proposal to have exactly what you're talking about, recruiting STEM teachers, specifically in the math area.
Mm-hmm.
And so Deedee was part of that committee for a while, but I can look at her at the last name, but I know that her name is Corinne, C-O-R-I-N, an instructor there at Monterey Bay. She wrote a gorgeous, really beautiful proposal on how to work with partnership with Monterey Bay and Cabrillo College. So I think Margaret or Deedee could tell you her last name. Send her an email. I was just so, I've read a proposal. I was so impressed by her proposal. It was excellent.
Great. Yeah, I see the name there on the chat. Thank you, Eva. A lot of information already, but I'm glad I asked the question. That was the main reason I was on this call as well, to get that proposal started. So I'm sure I'll be reaching out to a number of you as well for additional information. Thank you so much.
And I mean, we have a series of questions, but I realize, we're already a little bit past the time. So maybe we just pose this question, if you have any question for the panelists, for the different colleges that are being represented today, again, feel free to unmute yourself. I'm checking the chat. Okay, no questions. Any last comments from our panelists, from our different colleges?
No, just thank you. Great presentation. Putting up my little hand here.
Well, thank you so much for, if there's no questions, we're gonna follow up. We're gonna follow up with with the recording, and then we'll add our contact information to that email. We'll also send you your certificate, the contact information, a copy of the presentation, and then please feel free to ask us any questions about our programs. I think again, each one of our programs is at a different stage, and it's in a different size of the college. So we can definitely point you in the right direction just based on the experiences that we've had. So thank you once again for joining our session, and we hope that you enjoy the rest of your conference.
Thank you, Diego, for your leadership.
Oh, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Diego.
Thank you, everyone. Let me see.
Stress meter now.
I know.